whoever's driving home
No
right
why.
now. Hang on.
That is for
I
darn
don't think
sure.
she usually does she? I don't call her name.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess Rob's the only one then.
Mm-hmm. And is he in the basement or is he home?
I think downstairs. You up there?
Yep.
No. Not showing a picture, so we don't know where he is.
No. Sally and who? Oh, yep, I'm right.
Good evening. Linda, could you please give the invocation?
In preparation for Valentine's Day, I believe God wants us to be mindful of the belief and practice of altruism. Altruism is the attitude of caring about others and doing acts that help them, although the doer receives nothing by doing them. Father, your way of giving is our only example of true altruism, and while we will never attain perfection, you advise us to develop this characteristic by being gracious, generous, and lending to the needy without regret. Thank you, Father, that when we practice being altruistic, we learn in a small way to be like you. In 2 Corinthians 9, 6-7, it says, "Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." Thank you, Father, for this verse on the importance of giving, which is not limited to just financial resources, but especially applies to the giving of love and kindness to others without holding back. Lord, help us to give love, kindness, support, encouragement, and respect generously to those around us. Help us to decide in our hearts each day to intentionally give friendship to everyone we meet, whether we agree or not. Father, you have said our pursuit, our life's journey is not really about us. You have given us a job to do. In John 15:13 it says, "Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. For by this we know love, for by this we live in peace." Father, I pray for your love and peace would be over every one of the city council members tonight, the guests, and the community of Freeport. And I pray for creativity, communication, and unity during tonight's meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Linda. Now we'll officially call this Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Attending in person, Mayor Miller.
Here.
Alderpersons Ross
Here.
and Parker.
Here.
Attending remotely, Alderpersons Borneman. McClanathan.
Present.
Busker.
Here.
Brashaw. Did she ever show up? She will be marked absent. Mysick
Here.
and Berberay.
Here.
Staff attending in person, Manager Bucas,
Present.
Director Richter, Hines, Chief Summers,
Present.
Chief Liggett, IT Director, Deputy Stromberg, Huffines, and Clerk Anderson is here. Staff attending remotely, Director Boyer,
Here.
and then also attending in person, Attorney Zito. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could please stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Parker.
Flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Parker, the meeting's yours.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment of silence in remembrance of retired police officer Dan Prather, who passed away last Friday. Please bow your heads for a minute. Thank you. We're going to take item number 10 off the agenda, so we need the approval of the agenda minus number 10. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Alderman Ross, seconded by Alderman McClanahan. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Parker,
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
I was just going to check if Madam Brashaw showed up. Are we expecting her, or as far as you know? She is still absent. Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
and Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 5, approval of the minutes from the Committee of a Whole on January 11th, 2021. Is there a motion?
So move again.
Second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Alderman Ross, seconded by Bouveret. Was that second? I think so. Right. Alderman Bouveret. Madam, will you please call the roll?
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 7-0.
Item number 6, public comments. Is there any? No public comments. Next is number 7 is fire department swearing in. Chief?
Brandon? And would
To all who shall see these presents, greetings. Know ye by the authority vested in me, reposing special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Brandon F. Reese, I do hereby appoint you to the position of firefighter in the Freeport Fire Department. To his rank as such, the effective day of February 8th, 2020, to the appointee. Your appointment as a firefighter in the Freeport Fire Department makes you heir to a long and proud tradition of fire department service. By accepting this appointment, you are charged with demonstrating those standards of performance, moral courage, and dedication to the fire department and the city of Freeport, which may serve as an enviable example of your fellow fire service men and women. Your desire to excel and to guide others must be boundless. Your appearance must be a model for others, and your performance must be a continual reflection of your sincerity, attention to duty, and moral responsibility. By exhibiting unfailing trust and obedience towards superiors, cooperation and loyalty to your peers, and understanding and strength to those you serve, you will contribute greatly to the effectiveness and good name of the Freeport Fire Department. Given under my hand at Stevenson City Hall, February 8th, 2021. Congratulations.
You can actually hand the microphone to Brandon, that'd be good. All right, Brandon, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brandon Reese,
I, Brandon Reese,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of firefighter
of the office of the firefighter
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Brandon. We're happy to have you a part of the team. All right.
Want to hold your daughter too? Congratulations. Might have left the gloves there. I don't know whose they would be. Oh, he's coming back? Okay, item number 8 is the Freeport Housing Authority Quarterly Report presented by Ms. Babbitt.
Good evening. I'm Babette Jameson Varner, and again, as I say every time I'm able to come here, thank you for the invitation to come and report on the progress that the Housing Authority of the City of Freeport is making. I wanted to, first of all, just say, I think that probably over the last year, we have been providing you all with a report. I hope that it has been helpful in order for you all to see the progress that the agency has been making over the last year or so. You know, the one thing for me, and I never tend to personalize things, and that is whenever I enter into an agency that's in transition, I know that it's usually going to take about 3 years. We're about hitting that 3-year mark. There's a lot that's been going on, but the ultimate goal here, and I like to share this with you often, is the fact that, number one, my job is transformation. Is to contribute to change, is to bring in policies, procedures, is making certain that the Housing Authority is following federal and state regulations. And I believe that we've done a very good job over the last 2 years, in particularly working this work plan and making certain that we accomplish these goals. The first thing that I want to mention to you all, and we've talked about this quite a bit, and this is the Parkside tenant relocation vouchers. The report that you all were provided shows a timeline from the time we received approval for the demolition application through HUD, through the 2nd of this month. Right now, we're still waiting on the letter from headquarters, the approved vouchers. I did receive an email this morning from the administrator of the vouchers, which is Menard County. They have received their obligation letter for the units that they will actually be administering for the Freeport Housing Authority. I want to mention to you again, one reason why we selected Menard County as the administrator is because, again, when we look at transformation and change, we want to partner with housing authorities that's willing to work with us, as well as allow us an opportunity to participate in the next steps for the families and individuals that'll be moving into comparable housing with the vouchers. In addition to that, I have to talk a bit about Westview. I've mentioned to you all, and in, I believe, last month's report, you all received our cost analysis, which spans over 20 years of the needs and conditions of the buildings. What we've done is we've taken some time to prioritize work that needs to be done. We're also meeting with HUD's repositioning panel to really take a closer look at, where we are with those 196 units. And actually, we're currently working on another application as well to demo 18 units that have been sitting vacant and that are on sinking foundations. But the bottom line is that when we look at Westview, and that includes Willow, Lincoln Village, and Gilmore, these buildings came up in about 1952. Renovation work has been limited. I mentioned to you all before that given our P&A, we found out that the majority of the buildings are in good condition, but what we're doing with this repositioning panel is taking a closer look at what would be our next steps. What are the opportunities for the development? What would capital financing look like based on decisions that we would make in terms of rehab or other options for sustainability? But in the meantime, what that also means is that we know that there's a lot of priority work that needs to happen in terms of the exterior, mechanical, as well as a structural, and we'll be working on those things, and HUD will be working with us as well as we make the best decisions possible for that particular housing community. Just a part of just reporting overall on the recovery plan, I do like to keep you all informed on some of the primary concerns as well as tasks that needed to happen for the Housing Authority to complete its recovery plan. One in particular is that, we have, and I believe we started back in August, a finance committee, ad hoc finance committee, which includes a few board members, our chief accountant, as well as myself and a few other staff people. And what we do is we review all of the financials on a regular basis. Right now, we're in the process of preparing for our next meeting. We'll be reviewing some policies and procedures, some updates that we have completed, and we'll be seeking board approval for those items. And we'll be passing them on to not only HUD, but we'll pass them on to you all as well if you want to take a look at them. I've also listed in the report our upcoming operating fund submission schedule. This is an annual grant submission that we submit in terms of receiving our operating funds for public housing. We also have our fiscal year budget, which is due 3/31/21, and we'll be on track and on time with that. I also, for this particular report, and I welcome questions, but I did want to talk a little bit about security and surveillance. I included in this report some of the surveillance cameras that we have on site. Particularly, the focus is Willow. We've listed where current cameras were placed. We've added some additional high-tech cameras as well, and then we've also, we're working on obtaining bids for some additional cameras. If you have any questions about what's listed here, where they're positioned, please feel free to give me a call. I've talked to our maintenance director, and I've had other conversations. We always welcome, whether it's the police department or even if it's an alderperson. If you're interested in coming out, touring the sites, taking a look at where these cameras are positioned, please, let me know. You're welcome at any time. And, and also I want to, share as well, and this is something that I don't perceive as changing, but building, and that is, we've worked with the Freeport Police Department for a while in providing whatever support that we can when issues arise, particularly in the housing community, and we'll continue to do that. But in the same vein, what I would like to see happen is that partnership grow, and maybe even we can look at some type of surveillance policy. I know that at this point, and I know this has happened years ago before my time, we do have some officers who are able to pull up cameras on their phones, but we want to solidify that. We want to have a better understanding of how we're using, the data and stats in determining where hot spots are, and also understanding, what are your ultimate needs when you want us to pull information. But again, we are always willing to partner with the city, with the police department in any way we can, because again, this is about keeping our residents safe. If you have any questions.
Chair.
Awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, Director. What I'm getting ready to ask you, I mean it with all due respect, can you enlighten me on the garbage situation over in Parkside?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, I received a phone call last week, and it was reported that there were a lot of garbage bins that have been out, and I think you all know there are a lot of garbage bins that are out all over the city, but my responsibility is where our units are. And when we received the phone call, I had the staff contact Water and Sewer that day, as well as so we could obtain the numbers for the haulers, so we would know who to contact. Because at this point, when people leave their garbage haulers out, we don't know who they belong to. We had cases where quite a few people have moved and they left the haulers out. We typically don't move them, but what we did do was we sent out a mass text. And we let people know you have 24 hours to move your haulers. Now, this wasn't only Parkside, but this was also the Westview community. And the one thing that I say is that whether it's public housing or even a private landlord, it's our job to respond if something slips through the cracks. If we know the plows are coming, my expectation is my staff, they're doing walkthroughs, they're sending out flyers when they see things like that occur. But again, please, I don't shoot down any phone calls from aldermen or anybody else. If there's a problem and you don't think that we have responded to that problem, call me directly. You don't have to go to my staff or anybody else. Call me directly, because I move quickly when it comes down to things like that.
Follow up.
Yes, Alderman Ross, go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. Have you seen the garbage over on Crocker and the Delbert?
Have I seen the garbage? What do you mean, have I seen the garbage?
Have you seen
No.
how it looked?
No.
Okay. Have you spoke with your maintenance?
I have. He did tell me that you all had driven around or that you all had talked, yes.
Okay. But the thing about it is, it's been that way for some time now.
Okay.
It's been, longer than 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying is, you have someone that oversees over there that makes sure everything is, shall we say, tidy?
Yes, we have people that oversee over there, but one thing that I believe that we have to be mindful of is that I've gone from, and this is intentional because we plan on moving people out of Parkside, I've gone from 18 staff to 8 people, and we utilize contractors as well. If you notice anything as a representative of that ward, call me. Because no, I'm not out there on the sites all the time. And again, if my staff missed something, I need to know. So if it has been 2 months, it is our responsibility as landlords to respond to it. But please use your voice as well and let me know that, hey, this is going on too long, because evidently I missed it.
Okay, so, don't get me wrong. So who would be the responsible person that's in your office or staff that is responsible for reporting back to you?
It would be our facilities and maintenance director.
Okay, that's what I'm speaking of. 'Cause when I spoke with him, he began advised me that, people, I know they're not putting it in the right totes, true enough. But I'm just saying the amount of garbage that is there. I mean, if you would like to see it, I got my phone, I can show it to you. But I'm just saying the amount of garbage, it's been, it's just a severely amount of garbage. Now, okay, so we're past that. Now, so what are we gonna do to clean this area up? Because there's garbage in the snow that's, garbage bags in the snow that's covered by the snow. There is a couch that I spoke with your director about, and he said, well, we got to go dig that out. Well, that's been there since when it was warm. And so basically that's what I'm trying to say. What kind of attack do we have to clean this up? Because, I mean, it's just horrible.
Well, the attack is immediate. Now, again, it is for me to respond to an employee who has not reported or responded to you. And I don't know if I'll say inappropriately or whatever, or else not fast enough. That's on me to respond to that. Now that I know that, and anyone can attest to the fact that if once I know, I respond, and I respond quickly. So the plan of attack is we'll get it moved out. It'll be moved out by before next week, if not sooner. But also I want you to understand as well is that, we're not social service. And we send out messages, and I'm not making excuses for anybody. We have to continue to send out messages. We send out mass text messages. We send out emails. We flyer everybody. And the bottom line is that what we're also looking at is individual residents taking personal responsibility. And we ride that. We write folks up. We're in a moratorium. It's some folks that have been written up enough that if it wasn't for the moratorium, they wouldn't be there. But in terms of whether or not, maintenance can go around and pick things up, they can't always do it right away because we're turning units. And this is why I say this is not neglect. This is the fact that we're getting to it. We're moving fast. We move as fast as we possibly can. But again, if it's causing concern for our ward, the alderman in our ward, talk to me directly because he's my subordinate. And I should be your peer. So talk to me directly, and I'll take care of it immediately.
One more follow-up. Okay, as I was over there taking the pictures, there's a blue tarp on one of the units. Can you explain something about that?
No.
On the roof. It's on the roof.
Oh, yes. There's probably a roof that will not be repaired because of the demolition.
Okay, so that one is inoperable, shall we say?
Yes, and we don't move people in there, seeing that we have, ever since we put in the application for SACS, for the special application unit, we stopped moving people into Parkside. So no one has moved over there probably in over a year.
Okay, so in other words, yeah, I know the community development director spoke with you, and it said you will begin your cleanup as beginning this Wednesday, correct?
You talking about the haulers?
No, I'm talking about the cleanup that's going to be done on Parkside. Yeah, as for the trash bins, all the garbage that's laying around.
I could start that tomorrow. I could have folks out there doing that tomorrow.
Okay.
And I could have had it done 2 months ago, whenever you first saw it. So please send me the pictures.
Well, I'll leave that alone. But what I'm just saying is that
You don't have to leave it alone. Talk to me.
yeah, well, okay, put it this way. If you have somebody hired, I do my job, and then I do my job. But you have a person that you're paying on the payroll to do his job, and he's not doing his job.
And as I mentioned to you, if I receive reports, because I don't walk behind my staff on a daily basis, I do not. And if you look at these reports that you receive on a monthly basis, when we said that we cut down staff, that means that the rest of us have a heavy load. So no, do I walk the properties right now? No. Do I drive through every now and then? Yes. But if it's reported to me that when I expect my employees to take care of something and it's not being taken care of, then I deal on that. I reprimand for that.
Yeah, because,
And then I get things moving. That's why I'm the director.
okay, that's understood. That's understood. There's no problem with that at all. But basically what I'm saying, if I hire a guy to do the job, he's not doing the job, well then, it's time for him to hit the road.
Well, and right now, if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me to talk about human resources and talent management, we can do that.
No, this is
But
not
I
about
won't
that. It's
talk about
cleaning up the area.
what happened. And like I said, we can start that tomorrow. And if you would like to plan with us, please
No.
give me a call.
I got
But
everything.
when I spoke with my person said that you all had talked and everything was fine. Now, again, if it was not up to your standard, and if you didn't like the way he responded to you, call me. Because my expectation is that he knows exactly what to do.
He advised me it would be cleaned up. He said, well, we'll get over here on Tuesday. Now, when correction, I talked to him on Tuesday. We'll get here later this week and start cleaning up. Well, I waited and looked, and it didn't happen. So then, that's when our office called you, my understanding, and then you advised them that you would start the cleanup on Wednesday.
The office called me about the haulers, and I responded immediately.
Right, that's what I'm speaking of.
Yes.
That's what I'm speaking of. So, as long as we can get it cleaned up, that would be nice.
I have no problem with
That
that.
would be nice. I mean, because it looks bad, I'll be honest with you. That's the only thing I'm saying. It just looked really bad. I'm not trying to come down with you,
No,
your
I don't
staff,
look
or
at it
anyone.
like that.
But it just looks really bad, and then we can go from there.
I understand, and I hope that we can work towards doing a lot of cleaning in the Third Ward.
That's what we're
Thank
trying
you.
to do. Done.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Mayor?
Yeah, Bev, I just want to make a comment that there's the security and surveillance equipment that you're putting in. Great. We appreciate that, and I'm sure the chief does as well. So thank you for that, and I just look forward to the continued partnership that can transpire between the housing and the police department to be able to get things where they need to be.
Sounds like.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 9 is the Greater Freeport Partnership Quarterly Report presented by Mark Williams.
Good evening. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity again. And you should have been sent out a quarterly report. It may have come in an email today or soon. Usually it goes to the board first and then it gets disseminated to the council. Anyway, I'll highlight some of the items that you'll see in this. We always look at the industrial sector in the county, in the region, including Freeport. We did have in this past quarter, Nuestro Queso held a groundbreaking, a $15 million investment with new processing and packaging equipment and a cooler space as well. We did also have a significant meeting with Coblina and another cheese company, Savincia Cheese, with their French Consulate General as they came into the area to talk about future expansions there as well. We are holding and continue to hold, and I know it was supposed to be on the agenda following this, but a follow-up meetings will be held with the City of Freeport and Stevenson County officials to advance forward discussions of developing cooperative effort to extend water and sewer to Millrace Crossing. It continues to be a need for that area as we need sites with development utilities in place in order for investors to come in. The issue with that is that they need, usually a private investor is going to need to have, it needs to have a certainty on the speed to market. And if you can't, we have to find a way to reduce the speed to market, meaning if we have to get infrastructure at least engineered to that point, and then find funding for infrastructure, at least we cut some of the time frame down on getting the infrastructure there by doing the engineering and getting the filing for the necessary permits. You can probably reduce it quite a bit by that time frame. So some of that is in discussion. will continue, and that's only topics of discussion because the public units of body are the ones that direct those funds. So, commercial retail sector, we held some webinars with DCO and Business Interruption Grant. Our focus has been trying to provide as best as we can support services to our commercial areas that were hit extremely hard over the past fourth quarter. We held webinars on the Business Interruption Grant, provided assistance to some of the applicants. The DCO announced that 59 businesses in Freeport and Stevenson County received grants totaling more than $1.6 million in support. Understand there was probably 62 applicants, so 59 of the 62 were funded. That's pretty good for our area. We encourage, as these things come out, and if they do come out again, more applications, and we'll provide additional support as needed. We continue to meet and provide information to owners and representatives and brokers of large retail centers in and around Freeport. And our work focuses on retaining current retail operations or fill vacant space with new retail and explore adaptive reuse possibilities for different mixed uses and trying to be creative with some of the tools that we have in place. And look what we can do. So that continues to go on. Our entrepreneurship ecosystem, as I've mentioned before, continues to go on, and I'll talk about that later, a little bit later. Under our progress, look at workforce development. We met with the Stevenson County Probation Department to give input, take this off, input on the, met with Stevenson County Probation Department to give input around in restarting the job readiness classes. Classes are intended to restart in the early first quarter of this year. Currently, the Probation Department and Highland Community College are adapting curriculum to online format. The partnership will still participate in the same capacity as before, connecting employers to class graduates. Met with Career Tech and other representatives from the manufacturing sector to plan next manufacturing CTE Career Day and discuss ways that event will occur virtually in '21. And we also connected the Workforce Connection apprenticeship program Navigator to local manufacturer who needed to discuss creating an apprenticeship program with their operation. As I mentioned before, the entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Excuse me, this is Alderman Borneman. It looked like Alderman Burberry wanted to ask a question. That's all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Thank you, but no, I didn't. I just adjusting my lights here. Thank you.
Thank you. The, as I mentioned before, the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we are finalizing the purchase of the Gale Business Suite. We'll purchase that on behalf of the library and Freeport Public Library, and online business support software that will be housed at the Freeport Library. The library is a public place with a low barrier of entry and will facilitate a broad reach to all entrepreneurs and small businesses. We will run through a dry run of this after it gets purchased and see that it works. So our staff will be affiliated with, or familiar with it, assimilated with it, as well as I hope and work with the library and Ashley and her staff in getting them familiar with the software as well, because they'll be asked and be directed and help direct people to the right software. Enterprise Zone, continue to work on the expansion, looking at deletions, and finalizing the mapping of all that effort. We held 5 ribbon cuttings in the fourth quarter, and we had 16 total for the second half of 2020. The Women's Enrichment Network we continue to help provide support for that. Over the last quarter, the group has met monthly via Zoom. Many members have enjoyed the option of attending their own at their own offices by Zoom. We've averaged about 21 attendees. We also created and presented, staff created and presented economic impact study on the Stevenson County Trail System, discussing revenue generated from the trail system through sales tax, hotel motel tax, property value increase, and quality of life impact. We have the Hold the Bikes and Brews social media campaign as well in the fourth quarter, generated good comments, got a lot of coverage on our website. Reviewed vendor RFPs for the 21 community guide, as well as chose local member businesses to work with, and that should be disseminated this month, the community guide throughout the next couple quarters. More than $3,000 was spent on various media to promote the Mistletoe Walk and the local holiday shopping between November 1 and the end of reaching audiences locally and regionally. We also amended a little bit the holiday partnership cash program, and the program launched with an in-person sale on a Friday, November 20th, in conjunction with Mistletoe Walk, and then through online sales, consumers received a 4-to-1 incentive. Over $22,000 was purchased locally with small businesses locally. We do have a new website update. Our updated website was launched on November 19th, and we continue to make additions and corrections and other regular maintenance to the site. From our events, the Hero Tree was also lit, and we participated in promoting that and supporting it. Stevenson County Courthouse as well. Some of our corridor beautification efforts, we feel most of their efforts have been a strategic focus on attention in the corridor around the Adams Street corridor. To share information, to coordinate efforts, we had ongoing meeting with City Community Development and Public Works Departments. The redesign of Adams Street will include sections of multi-use path. Partnership is looking at infrastructure needed for safely tie the users to downtown, Tutty's Crossing and the trailhead, and further connecting residents and visitors to a larger network of trails. And also partnership and an effort, because we strongly believe that the core of the city of Freeport is also a core to the region and the county, and improvements in that. And so we are looking, the partnership examined the National Main Streets program and intends to apply for accreditation in 21. We've already started that process. So over the past quarter, we had communicated with Main Street Organization, National Main Street Center, and the Illinois Main Street Center to understand the resources of the program offers. No intent to reorganize our organization, to create any new organization, use the existing staff and the budget that we have to do this, and working with our downtown businesses closer in alignment. So those efforts are ongoing and will continue. And that's really all I have.
Any comments or questions from anybody?
Chair.
Yes, Alderman Pete McClanahan.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. We did just, I think, recently, just before the meeting, get the quarterly report, so I appreciate seeing that as well. You highlighted some of the aspects of the, I think, county industrial sector and then some of the commercial and retail sector. How are the communications going with the both the industrial and commercial manufacturing retail sector in Freeport? I assume that we're still, based on what I'm seeing in report, we're still having, good communication, so we're able to jump on opportunities as need be. Is there anything that we need to do for improvement on the city level?
Good question. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I met, in fact, this past month with Dan Foss, TriStar Metals. We continue to meet with First McNass, that groups, and some of our other companies, including MetLife. We continue to stay connected to some of our major employers, what I would consider primary employers within the city, and also met here recently with Snack King as well. So we also kind of point this out, and it isn't listed here because this is a quarterly report, but the plans moving forward into this year is start to do what we used to do, probably NIDA did years ago. When I say we, NIDA did, but would be the business visitation program, or a core conversation with our primary employers. And we can also do it targeted with local commercials, but it's an in-depth conversation with our employers where we gather information from them. It's all in confidence, and all that information gets compiled in an aggregate form. It's really in partnership with ComEd as well as, you know, they have a software system that they will give us a license to do and to work with. I've used this for other economic development organizations I've worked with across the state. And what you do is you get a good snapshot of the health of your local businesses and manufacturing. But it's time consuming. It requires a lot of scheduling to get indoor and meet face to face with some of these employers and take, you know, and it's all being based on how they allow us to come into the facility and meet with them, or we do it virtually. But that should be started off here this quarter and whipping through it this year. And so you end up with a report at the end of the year, and then hopefully some of the information you get from your manufacturers, your service providers, it can be downtown, it can be retail, is you'll get a snapshot, but it'll also have an assessment in there about the perception or use of public sector as well. So the units of government, police, fire, city, streets, water, all these things will be in part of that conversation. That report is provided to you in aggregate format. And so at that, hopefully, is what you start to develop solutions to help these businesses. But until we have that information, in-depth conversation and information, that's what we plan to do. So I hope that answers your question, Alderman. That isn't our intent, and that's not something that they've done yet, the partnership yet. So that's new to the
No, I appreciate the answer and the update, and looking forward to what you mentioned there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more comments or statements?
Mr. Parker?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Alderman Borman.
That's right. Thank you. Director, what, if any, efforts has the partnership made to bring ride-sharing programs to Freeport?
I know, Alderman, I think you mentioned that to me before. I think it was I think we mentioned taxi or the transit, the Pretzel City transit. I was trying to get an idea of what particular ride carrier like Uber or Lyft, or is there any other type of ride carrier that would be of interest?
Well, you travel outside the city of Freeport ever?
I'm sorry?
Do you travel outside the city of Freeport ever?
Absolutely.
Do you use ride-sharing?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what is confusing about my question?
Well, I didn't know before. I thought maybe it was a transit-oriented question.
No. I mean, one of the things the partnership is trying to do is, or tasked to do, is to bring kind of tourism to the city of Freeport. And I feel like us not having these ride-sharing programs is a real hindrance to people who would expect those amenities, and amenities they probably use in many other cities. So my question is, what, if any, efforts have been made by the partnership to bring those ride-sharing programs to the city of Freeport?
In the past 9 months since I've been with this partnership, we have not had a discussion with a ride-sharing entity provider.
Okay. At the last quarterly report, I know I referenced it. Was that something that just you weren't interested in proceeding on, or what would be, there's been no attempts since the last quarterly report?
We didn't have any activity with that per se in the last quarter. We can certainly take a look at that, though, Alderman.
Okay. Well, I'm really encouraged because I think, as you know, and anybody who's going to a city on a leisurely trip or tourism, I mean, that's an amenity that's expected these days, and I think it really sets us back by not having one, and I think it's one that would be used by residents hands down if it became a normal thing in this town, which it currently is not. So I encourage the department partnership to look into that. Thanks for your report.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 11, discussion regarding revisions to COVID policy presented by Manager Bucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we last implemented our policies on dealing with the COVID and reopening the city and that, there's been a few changes to both federal and state law and guidelines. And so what you have before you are some of the changes that are being incorporated since we adopted this policy back in July of 2020. basically, it's a lot of language changes that need to be made and just general cleanup of different aspects of the policy. Nothing really major changing, you know, it's just telling you how you're supposed to wear your face mask and wash your hands and that type of thing. So it's just, I'm just bringing it to council's attention so that you're aware that the policy is being updated, and as council members and you're in the building here, you have to as well follow the rules so that you know what the rules are. And I'd be more than happy to try and answer any questions that may be out there.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Bucus? Okay, do we have a motion to move the revisions to the next regular scheduled meeting?
Chair, Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I have a couple of suggested edits on this copy as well, and not anything major here for suggestions, just some points to bring up for discussion tonight, since this is coming before us. In page 2, section 2, it's discussing the use of face mask coverings, and it's stating the city buildings, common areas, hallways, walkways, city council chambers, conference rooms. I believe in this section the intent of listing the city buildings and the various areas. I believe that's redundant to put in the city council chambers, and I would like to strike the in city or in council chambers. I see that as redundant. Another section in here, the next page, it's talking about the 5 phases of Restore Illinois plan. This is a section I think was helpful for us back in July. And in this flattening area, I noticed that some of the definition of when does it begin is struck, and I understand that was very situational, doesn't need to be in there. I think we could also remove the text, when does it begin? Also pertains to phase 3 recovery, and then there's just a couple of other minor, I think there's a misspelling on one of the pages here too. Certainly could talk about that offline, but I just wanted to give particularly that feedback on page 2, section 2, to strike the city council chambers. Thank you.
Any further comments? Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Bucus?
They were noted, so noted. And this does not require city council action. So we don't have to move it forward, but I just bring it to council's attention so that you're aware of some of the changes that have been made. You know, as the last 9 months, as we've gone through almost a year now, but the last 9 months since we had this policy, there's been a lot of changes in what the state's been requiring, what the feds have been recommending, and everything else. So just trying to update our policies.
Thank you. Okay, number.
Chair?
Yes. Who is that? Alderman Blueberry.
Director Bucus, one question. There's a lot of good information in the policy about masks. One question I have, do you know whether the CDC has provided any direction on how long masks should be used and the proper disposal of them? You know, since the video you shared from Hoffman Estates said talked about the outside of the mask is that's figured contaminated, how long should a person keep that mask, especially some of the I'll call them cheaper ones, the non-cloth ones? Is there any direction from CDC on that?
I'm not aware of any at this time.
Nor am I.
Seems like, you know, if you're going to have people doing all these other precautions, how long should a person wear his or her mask? Weeks upon weeks upon weeks, or 2 days and get rid of it? That's curious.
We have no comment on that.
And you may not have an answer, but something to think about.
You know, sometimes it comes down to common sense on the part of people that if you're wearing a mask, that it's a disposable mask, you should dispose of it at the end of the day. I personally get a new mask every day, and the one I'm wearing today will be washed and recycled in with my other masks. I mean, I don't know if there's anything out there, and as our city attorney mentioned, he's not aware of any guidelines by the CDC either. So sometimes it boils down to common sense, and people just have to use their common sense when they're wearing their mask and make sure that they are putting it over their nose and their mouth so that it is effective. A lot of times you'll see people have it either below.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you. Any more comments? Okay, we'll move on to number 12. Discussion regarding modifying job description for Pretzel City Transit Program Compliance Oversight Monitor, presented by Manager Buchan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, our current program, Program Compliance Oversight Monitor, also known as a PCOM, is planning his retirement. It's a part-time position right now. He hasn't given us a specific date when he's looking at retiring, but in order to be prepared for this retirement, we'd like to look at hiring a person that would move into this position. The work of the PCOM person has increased over the years. We originally hired him for 19 hours a week. It's turning into closer to a 30 to 35 hour a week job. And so for the additional couple of hours, we'd like to make this a full-time position. Any hours he works or she works in the position is covered by the grants that we obtain for the Pretzel City Transit System. The 10 hours, 5 to 10 hours that are not placed in, not working with the grants, would have to come out of our general fund allocations. We're looking at, due to the time and effort needed to meet the state's compliance requirements, a full-time position will provide more time for the city to ensure compliance with all the reports that we have to do. It used to be we had 4 reports a year. Now it's closer to at least 4 reports every quarter. And there's one grant application we're looking at now that they want monthly reports. So what I'm asking for is to take the PCOM position and take it from a part-time position to a full-time position.
Any comments or questions on that? Okay.
Chair, it's Alderman Clanapan.
Yes, go ahead, Alderman. Go ahead.
Thank you. In updating this position, how much of our costs are covered by this grant on this department or on this program as a whole, including this position?
Well, this position is 100% covered by the grant as it's set up right now, because he only works on the grants and on the system itself.
All right. So none of this requires a match by the city.
No, where the match will have to come in is if we make this a full-time position, is that the hours that he's not working on the transit system, that we would have to make up those hours probably through our general fund.
What are you anticipating being the breakdown percentage-wise approximately?
Well, I anticipate him working at least 35 hours a week on the transit, so we're looking at 5 hours a week.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Does the county contribute anything to this entire program, not just this position, but to this entire program? Because it's a county-wide system. Does the county currently give any in-kind or otherwise contributions to the costs of this?
No, they do not.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments? Okay.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Alderman Gorman.
just to follow up on that last question by McClanahan, is there a reason why the county isn't contributing to this system that serves people all throughout the county, not just Freeport?
I don't know. It's probably because it's our grant, and for some reason back when we started, either the county wouldn't participate or we didn't ask them to participate.
Okay. And then I guess I would just, with a comment, just would ask that we maybe look to reassess that agreement sometime soon or in the future, as it seems that all members of Stevenson County are able to receive this service, and feel that it'd be fair for the county to contribute.
Chair,
Yes, Alderman McClanahan?
I second those sentiments. It's been an important program for us locally. It's been expanding. Ridership at largely, obviously, we had COVID impact at various levels that you've talked about before. But there's been an increase in ridership, increase in the amount of vehicles we've had, now an increase in regards to the amount of time that we're dedicating to a person for it. So as this program grows, I would second the sentiments and requests of Alderman Borneman.
Okay, thank you. Do you want this, we can move this to the next meeting? Alderman, or Randy back?
Yes, we probably should, since it is we're looking at creating a full-time position.
Is there a motion to move this discussion to the next regular meeting?
So moved.
Ross, got a second?
Second.
Okay, second, Alderman Borneman. Please take roll.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berbere,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
and Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay,
Chair.
Yes,
I just want to make, just to backtrack for a moment. I received some information, Alderman Berbere, concerning your masks and the concern there. The recommendation is that disposable masks should be discarded in normal trash after 1 day's use, or if it gets soiled, and cloth masks should be washed every day.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
thank you. Item number 13, discussion regarding adding part-time water and sewer office staff, presented by Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our utility billing division, at times, it gets pretty hectic down there with their daily deposits and that. They've also, at times, they'll fall behind in their delinquent accounts and account holders, keeping track of their account holders. And in the past, when we've fallen behind, we usually try to use somebody that was on limited work details or on some type of workers' comp program to kind of fill in. What we're discussing today is we have a position called the data entry clerk in our list of positions. And what I'd like to do is hire a part-time data entry clerk to work in the water and sewer division. With the new software system that we've implemented, we're more efficient in some areas and require us to change some of our processes for the better. We've also have gone from 10 billing cycles down to 4 a month. So now we're getting our checks and cash in a tighter circle or frequency than in the past as well. So with the possibility of retirements forthcoming as well, we have one person in the department that's got 30 years in and 2 that have 20 years in. I would like to look at hiring this part-time data clerk person. This person works somewhere between 15 and 19 hours per week, and it gives us an opportunity to have someone that's familiar with the system should somebody retire in the near future. And in the 2021 budget, we did allocate some funds for this position at 15 and 19 hours per week in the water and sewer departments. And I'm asking for City Council to approve the hiring of a part-time data entry clerk for the water and sewer department.
Any comments or statements or questions? Okay,
Chair,
yes, Alderman McClanahan.
Thank you. Thank you for the memo, Manager Bucus, in regards to this. And I know we don't have a firm timeline, but is it one, I guess the first question is, what are the efficiencies you believe you'll see in this department through the incorporation of this part-time position? And two, do you anticipate this turning into a full-time position potentially upon some of the changes as you've mentioned in your presentation? And three, in the event that this does become a full-time or replacement for the full-time position, do you anticipate a time where you go back to just having the amount of full-time individuals and not needing this part-time staff? So is this basically a segue for a period of time to have a smooth transition, or do you anticipate having this part-time position continue kind of in perpetuity?
To go to your first question as far as efficiencies, one of the major concerns I have is making sure that we get our daily deposits in on time. Times there's a lag in getting those into the bank, and that's the first thing we need to do is make sure we have those deposits in. And that's another reason why we've been really pushing people to use the ACH for payments to their utility bills. And secondly, the accounts that we have, at times, we're not keeping up with changes that need to be made, especially when it comes to people that are moving out and not notifying us, and we need somebody to kind of stay on top of that. So this person would also be doing that as well. As far as this turning into a full-time position, I do not see it at this time falling into creating a full-time position. The only time that the person that was in that position may become full-time is when there's a retirement or somebody leaves that's currently there that's working full-time. As far as long range, right now we're not looking at a full-time position for long range. There's a possibility that if somebody moves on, and depending how caught up we are and how more efficient we are with our new software system, we're still learning some of the ways that it operates, and it is saving us time. We may not need this position in the future, but right now, at this time, we need a part-time person in there to help, mostly with the deposits and with the liquid accounts.
Follow-up, Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate all those updates. And you mentioned, we made some significant investments regarding technology on that. And I look forward to continuing to seeing you incorporate that throughout that department. And I hope it ends up becoming a smooth transition. And I thank you for your efforts on getting that put in place to date.
Thank you. Any other comments? We need a motion, I have a motion for discussion, move this to the next meeting.
So moved.
Alderman Boulay.
I'll second that.
Second by Alderman Borneman. Okay, madam, will you call the roll?
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
and Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next item is public comments. Do we have any?
I did not receive any ahead of time.
Okay, thank you. And we have a motion to adjournment.
So moved.
Ross, second? We have a second for an adjournment? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who seconded?
If I-
Second. Mysick.
Okay, Isaac, second it. And Kirk, please call the roll.
Mysick, I'm sorry, we're going to start with Parker.
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
now Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
and Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, we're adjourned.
Good night.
Night.
What did you say?
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, we got 2 of them pictures.